Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Jar of Marble dwellers and Jar of Marble curious. My name is Linda and this is Jar of Marbles. Hello, I'm Bob. Hello, Bob. Bob and I are so glad that you've joined us today. Yes, we are. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about being in touch with what you think. I love getting smarter. I love that it's even a thing. I love that it is possible to learn more, get smarter, feel smarter. There is this, sort of suggestion, even when I was growing up, a much younger woman, that, once you're older, that's it. It's all over. It's finished. Forget it. You can't learn anymore, which is obviously a load of poop. So I love getting smarter. That's a cracker of a statement, isn't it? Is it? Yes, I would think so. Over the last 4 years, I would say in particular that I have learnt so much, not only academically, and I use that word loosely, academically, as in read more, usually audiobooks. Turns out I absorb more information by listening. Reading, as in turning the page, I float off the page literally, and I have no idea what the last few pages held. Now, I used to read books and I loved them, but over time that changed. Still love books, just how I digest them and further to that, retain the information has changed. Learnt a busload on YouTube and continue to do so when I've required to know a specific skill, and from there has been huge and still is. But the most profound for me personally is I learnt things about myself, and I own all of it, because not all of it's fabulous, of course, but some of it's rather good, but that's all right. I love being more conscious and being aware of what I think and how that impacts on my life and others around me. I'm really committed at being in touch with what I think and being comfortable knowing what is right for me, the right thing for me. That in itself has been a very different experience. The peeling away of years of raising 3 daughters, that is 3 very different people, different personalities, ages and outlooks. So briefly, to look at where I am as a person, as an individual, to be able to assess next steps and look to how I want to navigate my life came as a big silence. Zero notion as to what next. But anyway, so I'm not seeking so much validation from anybody else, but how am I to validate the next and final, say, and this being generous, say the next 30 years of my life? This year I am 63, to decide if what's a good thing for me or not. I think your heart opens up more when you get older. I think there is a beautiful aspect to your own beautifulness when you get older. Is that a real word, beautifulness? Yes, Bob. Well, if it isn't, it is now. Yeah. There is an inherent beauty, I think. You have a quality about you that is so much stronger in a way. In saying all of that, I'm not interested in belittling myself or entertaining limiting thoughts. Being in touch with what you think, there is no space for thinking that is not growth-based, heart-centred and caring. The same kind of care that we offer others, I offer to myself. I know for sure that you do become more beautiful as you recognise these things about yourself. I've got a joke. Well, come on then. What did the boy volcano say to the other boy volcano? I really love you. Oh, it's not bad. You see, a little bit of laughter in the background there. Look, I'll take it for the team with my great jokes. You do that, Bob. I love to encourage myself the way I do with my grandson, the way I did and still do with my daughters. Totally believe in their abilities, and they knew and know I do. So when I make a stupid mistake, I tell myself, that's okay, Limby. I even have a sweet nickname for myself. I call myself Limby. I didn't know that. Well, I do, Bob. When I'm telling myself to try again, or it's okay that I've made a mistake, because back in the day, I realised that what I was telling myself was, get a move on, you're going to get behind, you can do better, you have no idea what you're doing, followed by some sweary words. You? Yes, I know, as hard as that is to believe. Oh, don't shush, Bob. As if it was a terrible thing to not know what I was doing. doing and learning something that I had never done before and had zero idea how it all knitted together. Nothing like putting yourself under that kind of pressure, isn't that right? Now, I knew what I was thinking back then. Boy, did I. That was back in the day when I always had a cold sore budding or one after the other. I was always really stressed out and it had sort of just become my normal. I didn't think that I had a say in stopping all of it. Hashtag being in touch with what you think. Oh God, when I look back at how nervous I was inside if I, say, had started a new job. Now, for a little clarification, a little bit of a backstory. For many years, a number of the marble dwellers will know that I bought and sold and ran a few cafes, takeaway shops, and after I put that part of my career to bed, I started applying for jobs that I'd actually never done before, admin-style jobs. So when I would apply for, say, a position like, say, a training manager, I really felt like it was taking an enormous risk because I had never, in the beginning, sat in an office setting. So now I was, and I had no idea about anything. Of course, one learns while trying not to bring attention to that fact. Now, because all of that was completely unfamiliar and it was a position that I couldn't exactly lie low, it meant I had to learn fast and have cold sore outbursts. Fantastic. That must have been awful. Yeah, it was, Bob, actually. In reality, I was able to do the job really well, but I didn't know it at the time and caused myself plenty of stress along the way because I didn't know that many cultures and admin situations are people doing bare minimum. And here's me at the Administration Olympics getting ready to kick massive goals, thinking that that's what everyone does. No, it's not. And on top of that, a lot of the cultures out there are sort of psychotic, with so many corporate and smaller businesses claiming to be bully-free, with their bullshit mission statement claiming grandiose claims to caring about their clients and employees alike. You said bullshit. Well, I did, Bob. That's quite right. So, classic scenario where I was getting up, going to work, living and breathing work, and my health was, bit by bit, taking a nosedive. Now, if you are working in a great culture, that's fantastic. But I know not enough folk out there are hating their jobs. Well, they're not enough people liking their jobs, I should say, but there's so many people out there just absolutely hate their jobs and they're treated poorly and it makes no sense. In Australia, stress leave, while it's not an official category of leave, such as annual leave or sick leave, full-time employees are entitled to personal leave, which they can take to recover from physical or mental illness, including stress. In this sense, stress leave is when an employee takes personal leave from work due to stress. Now, back in bullshit land, employers are supposed to be proactive in managing, detecting work stress, should always be sensitive about mental health, as in, managing workplace, stress. Well, why are you laughing? That's not funny. Well, I know, Bob, in all the places I've worked, they have mostly been led by psychopaths who have openly stated that they couldn't care less about employees with challenges, and then when someone is not at the workplace, openly discuss what their problems are. Oh, no. Yeah. Very special thoughts, let me tell you. And of course, then when you have this as proof as to why you can and you should never confide in an employer, you are forced to get inventive if you do require time off, as they will tell all and sundry about your mammogram you're having at 2 p.m. and why would you require the whole day off? Around the office having an open discussion. Glad you didn't mention your pap smear. Oh, God, fathers. Yeah, I know, right, Bob? So, through these experiences, the good that came out of it was eventually I left. I wasn't learning anything. It was very limiting. And God help you if you held your pen wrong. What? Held your pen wrong? I wish I was joking. The other thing that was about it was it gave me pause to look at how much I had endured in order to be seen as a valuable team member. By ding-dongs. I knew I had to review. I had to look at what I was thinking about behind my disturbed thinking, the cloud in my mind that was not serving me, that was blocking my self-respect and mostly my self-esteem. Being in the wrong environment will curb your freedom to learn and grow. We all have an immense potential, but as I say, if you're in the company of dangerous sorts, that can have an awful impact on you and how you view not only your job, but even more importantly, yourself. Never mind the fact that I had businesses and employees, but it would appear now that in that I was doing the employee gig, I recall being very careful as to not wave that in anyone's face as to how to run a successful business and keep your employees interested in coming to work. How very, very dare you? I know, Bob, I know. Anyway, I could see what needed to change, but it was not my business. And when I had made suggestions, it was met with hostility and stupid responses like, wait for it, you're gonna love this. Bite me. So as you can imagine, why would you bother talking to a Neanderthal? And this was a female Neanderthal too. Shame on you. Anyway, work stress harms companies. And bottom line, if you find you are in that kind of environment, this is your sign to get hunting for another. Find a better culture. I would strongly advise just look for another job, and when you know you've secured another job, you've signed the contract or whatever kind of job it is, then resign and just get the hell out of there. That's it. Absolutely. Now, the upside is there are more employers and managers who have better and improving awareness about, say, workplace burnout, mindfulness, proactive problem solving, all of which boosts absenteeism and job turnover. Hilarious to think one job I had, the state manager gave me a little peek into how many people before me had been and gone. It was 13 people in less than 2 years. By day 2, I could truly see why. And was still a bit unsure that they were as bad and ridiculous as they came across, the owners that is. I guess I was just blown away. So at that stage of the game, being kind to ourselves was not a part of the collective psyche. It wasn't what you heard about, read or seen. Hashtag being in touch with what you think. Being yourself, listening to yourself, involves both knowing and showing who you are. The first step for me was to get more in touch with my feelings, beliefs, and my needs. The next step is to learn how to express these in both your words and your actions. The final step is to learn how to stay true to you without letting people, society, or even your inner critic bully you into changing. That's all. And you know, that sounds a lot. Well, like anything, when we are first implementing change, it does seem like a lot. Seems like a high order, but honestly, after a short time, it starts to get easier, and that is true. True? Yes, Bob. You can get started by journaling and reflecting on these questions. You can jot these down or listen at a later time when you have the quiet time to find out what is going on inside for you. I'm an advocate for writing it out. Why? Because it works, Bob. I wouldn't be bothered talking about it or doing it if it doesn't work, and this works. And what were some key turning points in your life, and how did they change you? What were the themes in some of your happiest moments, for example, connections or successes, and anything that you've overcome? And in times when you felt like you weren't being true to yourself, what traits, values or beliefs did you betray? For example, your honesty or loyalty. Reflecting on significant events in your life can help you unravel the mystery of who you are, providing clues about the traits and qualities that are core to who you are. This is a great way to get in touch with your core values and beliefs, and highly recommend. Yeah, me too. Highly recommend. Thank you, Bob. Decode your emotions. Oh, this sounds interesting. It is. Think of feelings like they are your internal messaging system, always trying to communicate with you. Even difficult emotions like sadness or fear, they have important messages, but you can miss these when you ignore them or distract yourself from them. And boy, when I did this, the results were terrible. But it was a road that led me to wake up to myself and own who I am rather than hiding who I am. Have you ever had the experience when you have thought that someone doesn't like you, only to be told by them later in another setting that they always thought you were brilliant? They thought you weren't particularly taken by them. I was too busy being careful about what I said and did in a foreign environment, and so I just gave off false vibes, I guess. I just wasn't being myself. I didn't feel that I could. And it did make me think, well, how many other places have I not been myself and given the wrong impression? Not intentionally in the true sense. I was busy being someone I didn't know because I didn't know how to be. My eldest daughter always has had my back in these kind of career choices, as she is a corporate businesswoman commanding serious coin and is very clever at her job. She saw my potential, has always seen my potential, but I couldn't back then, for the life of me, it just wasn't happening. So what I did to change all of that once I had a brutal time of it, one must punish oneself first. Bob, no, but yes, I did. Busy trying to overcome impossible people and blaming myself and totally not valuing what I actually was producing work-wise. There are so many of us out there, brilliant women being bullied and undervalued by wastes of skin in a suit. Ho, 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 ho. And that ain't Santa Claus. That's it. It's rife out there. A common occurrence, widespread even. When life gets blurry, adjust your focus. Oh, I like you like that. Me too, Bob. The truth of it is, if you have to run from shitty work environments with drama, otherwise they'll put you in, one of their episodes. Oh, well, paint me green and call me a pickle. You like that, Bob? Yeah, I do. In my case, when I was still learning to be in an admin job and further to that, a manager, which I did have the skills and the experience, I just hadn't put it all together. I'd been self-employed from the age of 22 and for over 12 years after that. So here I was completely out of my depth, and I shouldn't have felt like that at all. But again, if you're in the wrong environment, you'll sink, and I was. In my case, it wasn't about what I was doing. It was about what I wasn't doing. And that was not believing in myself, and began faltering quickly because the environment was toxic as hell. I look back now and don't know how I did it. I don't know how I got through. It's not a memory I treasure, but it was worthwhile writing it out and realising why I had behaved the way I did, but it was the wake-up call required. I did find another job, and then I resigned. Happy ending. Oh, that's what I reckon. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. So, as we know, growth and comfort do not coexist. Growing pains are a real thing. To both learn and unlearn things can be stressful, especially attempting to perform a job that either no one knows how to do or they don't care. Either way, it's just not cool. Expanding your capacity to genuinely care about yourself, whether it is a concept you're just putting in place or this is a reminder to up the ante for yourself. So, as you're expanding your capacity to care for you, that also washes into caring for others. Having clarity, the truth is, the real shizzle is, overall, self-development is not easy, but you are worth it and the results are worth it. To feel comfy in your skin and abilities is a real treasure. It takes away the feeling of being competitive or defensive. You're doing you, and most often we don't see what others see. So maybe about time to see yourself and just be proud of you. It gives you a thicker skin and a superpower, I reckon, because if you are genuinely every day being consciously mindful of your thinking and seeking out those niggly thoughts of doom that just, well, let's face it, ruin your day, and makes it hard for those who cherish you to get through to you. While we are maintaining a shit story that is always in the past, we are ruining our glorious present, and some of you out there have wonderful partners, maybe children. You're paving the way to the future. You're setting the bar high and leading others without even knowing it. I bet you are. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Hashtag being in touch with what you think. If you fall into traps, that is to say, find yourself ruminating on the past, what you'd like to happen, then you can be happy, etc. I've got to tell you, it's never going to happen. What about ruminating on what you have? When you feel your mind going back to the old story, bring yourself back to what feels good in your life right now. Your pet, your neighbour, a client, your partner, a beautiful meal, your beautiful kids, whatever it may be. Hell, look, it might even be your car. Whatever it is, bring your mind back to that, and that is going to take discipline. Do I need discipline? I don't know, Bob. Do you? You plant that tomato seedling. You didn't rip it out the next day because it hasn't grown any shiny tomatoes. It's the same with presenting new ideas, new behaviours, from new thinking. You have to be at it every day until it becomes a solid habit. That will create a nice little pathway in your brain, and the shitty one will literally break apart. I would say don't try to change everything all at once. Building a new habit of course, it takes time. All you need is the desire to change and grow. We can, through our own growth, make a happy impact on our lives, families, and communities. But first things first, I believe that there is no force more powerful than a woman who is determined to rise. Yep, I do. Yep. And sometimes change in our lives is invoked by life presenting us with an event where we have no choice but to grow. There lies true strength. Oh, yeah. That's right, Bob. We must never stop believing that beautiful things can happen, even in times of chaos, for it is chaos that often brings the gift of choosing higher. Oh, I like that. Yeah, me too, Bob. And you know, trying your best is going to look different every day, but you're trying and that's just bloody fantastic. You said bloody. That's right, Bob. With being in touch with what you think, as in really think, you can become aware of thoughts that simply don't serve you, and you can hold on tight to the good ones, the things that you know to be absolutely true. Your heart knows the way. Run in that direction. Walk, skip, whatever floats your boat, but go that way. It's a bit about facing those monsters of doubt, not breaking down, and continue to take the next step, one step at a time. Come back to this episode, and if you feel moved or inspired, you know, there might be something here that you can listen to. They'll go, yeah, that's what I want to do. I find when I hear something that lights me up, I like to hear it again and again. And again. That's right. It sets a better mind frame and attitude, especially before getting out into your day. Hashtag being in touch with what you think. Your life has to be about what you think, not what someone else wants you to think. That will never last. Eventually, how you really feel will surface, and depending on who you are keeping company with, your views may not be in sync with them. How very, very dare you have your own mind. Interesting, Bob. Yeah, I thought so. Thanks. It is that getting to know, being in touch with what you think. It is of the greatest importance. A quote from Elisabeth Kubler-Ross: "The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep, loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen." So, it looks like it's that time again. No, I'll have a joke. Oh, well, come on, let's have it. How does Darth Vader like his toast? On the dark side. It's not bad, Bob. And why do giraffes... Oh, no, hold on, that's me. Okay, Bob. And why do giraffes have long necks? No clue. Because they have stinky feet. You know what, Bob? That's not bad. Yeah, I thought so. You're cute, Bob. Yeah, thank you. It really is time to go. Thank you for joining us, and a very sweet welcome to some of our new followers. I've noticed you joining. Glad you're joining us. It's just lovely. Yes, it is. As we part ways with this episode, remember that the conversation doesn't have to end here. Keep the dialogue alive. Continue to engage and think with the ideas that spark your curiosity, and stay in touch with your thinking. The beauty of being in touch with what you think lies not just in the knowledge gained, but in the ongoing journey of understanding, questioning, and evolving our perspectives. Oh, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I know. Me too, Bob. Thanks. Now, while this episode may be coming to a close, I'm optimistic about the new adventures that lie ahead for us all this year, 2024. Who knows where our paths may cross again? Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay in touch with the ever-evolving landscape of your thoughts. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being an integral part of this remarkable journey. So say good day to the family for me, give the chihuahua a cuddle, and we'll see you next time, okay? Okay, bye. Bye.